Good evening, Third and Long Nation fans. If you're wondering why the weather is so bad, it's all the tears of the 49ers and the Patriots fans mourning this evening. Um, I'm trying to like fake being super happy and excited because I love talking to my friends every Monday night and when we recap the NFL action. But it's hard to get excited when all of my teams lost the weekend and lost in infuriating fashion, but we'll get into that a little bit later on anyway. I am joined with the two O's tonight. First off, we've got Oliver Hope, baby himself. How are you, baby?
Could be better. Niners lost again, but apart from that, all good.
And then we've got the other big O. He's north of 4-0. It is Hendo. How are you, baby? How you doing, mate?
Oh, you absolute arse. I'm good. I finally tried out from Wentworth on Sunday, and I just got my hearing back from our last night on Friday night. So yeah.
So you've had such an eventful weekend, mate. Do you want to let the audience know what you've been up to?
Yes. So I turned another year on Saturday. I'm not going to give any more details than
4:43, wasn't it?
You can jog right on, mate. That old.
4:42 then.
Yeah, it's 42. So we went up on Friday, myself and my partner, to Kentish Town to go and see American band that very rarely comes over called Our Last Night. They are supporting Falling Reverse in December. So if you get a chance to go see them because they're brilliant. And that was absolutely awesome on Saturday night, Friday night, and Sunday I was at the Wentworth for the golf and watching Rory choke again in the playoff again.
That's quite. Now you might realize that we have an absentee on the show tonight, hence why I am doing the introductions. Our Welsh fellow, he can't join us this evening because he is on an assignment from the Third and Long. He is going to watch and get ready for TNS's first European game this Thursday night. So he's doing a little bit of digging, but he'll come back to us on Thursday just to drop us a little line about how the new Saints are doing. But we'll fill in.
I read they're playing their games in Shrewsbury Stadium.
Yes, it's the ironic nature of Welsh football. Most of the teams play in England, and Shana's going to be doing that for us. But we'll mention the Ravens. We'll give some praise where praise is due. But where do we want to start, Hendo? Where are we going to start?
I suppose there's no one else to start, but Thursday night football is it? I suppose I've had to go over that, done with, haven't I?
Now, I am in agreement with you. Like when Shane and Baby take glee in burying the Patriots, I try to be a little bit more in the center. And I distinctly remember saying on Thursday that I thought it would be an even game. I really did think it was going to be an even game, and it was an even game right up until the coin toss. So what went wrong? What went wrong?
Think that wasn't even. I'm going to start with a positive. It wasn't a shutout. So we got rid of the big donut. That's a positive.
Yeah.
You scored 3 points. It's not that positive.
It's not a 0. We saw a bit of Drake May, and he looked okay. Now for the negatives. No Barmore, no Juwan Bentley for the season. Our defense really needs to step up. I thought Keon White was going to be that guy. I thought Josh Uche would have been that guy. Yeah, that didn't happen. I don't know what the plan was going into this, but
was going to be that guy too.
Our DBs were step 2, gave the wide receivers far too many yards. Yeah, okay, we'll back off. We'll give you 10 yards before we engage. It's like, no, you can't. You've got to go straight into them. And the game plan was completely wrong. The O-line is like turnstiles. I can't remember how many sacks that bloody Joe we gave up now. 7 sacks, and we got hit 59 times, the 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That is no good. That isn't good enough. You've got to protect the quarterbacks. I mean, Mondre didn't get going. He got 6 carries. Why has he got so few carries? He's one of the best rushers in the league at the moment. He hasn't didn't get any carries. I don't know what the plan was going to this game, but obviously didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at some like the stats in particular, without talking about the quarterbacks at the moment. I mean, Gibson had 5 carries for 29 yards. Douglas had 7 catches for 69, and Jacoby Brissett. Now, as the season's gone on into week 3, Hendo, I've got to ask, like, what is the point of having May sit behind Jacoby Brissett? What is he genuinely going to learn from Jacoby Brissett? Because I don't see any benefits. I don't see any benefits from one learning from him other than this is what it's like to get sacked every other play, or this is what it's like to throw an interception. This is what it's like to have a lackluster career. Like, I don't understand why.
Yeah.
If May is your future, why is this happening?
Probably because they don't want the same thing that's going to happen to Caleb Williams in Chicago.
And we'll get onto that a little bit later as well.
I purely think it is that reason that Caleb Williams and all these, and what we had in Bryce Young in Carolina, these young quarterbacks are getting absolutely pummeled week in, week out.
But you say that, but then you do have teams where they struggled in their first season. It's like a teething year. Like you can say that about Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. Lamar sat for a little bit behind Flacco. I'll just throw that in as well. Brock Purdy sat. But then Patrick Mahomes sat. But then you've got ones that literally dive straight into the league. And I'm looking at CJ Stroud in particular. I'm looking at Richardson in particular. I don't see the benefit of you've drafted him. Like let's say if the Patriots currently had Aaron Rodgers per se, like just as an example, and then you drafted Drake May and you go, you're going to sit behind one of the best ever for a year, 2 years, and then we'll give you the keys to the castle. Jacoby Brissett is not that. No, you're not going to learn anything from him.
I mean, I think it is protecting Drake May from not getting seriously injured. I do think it's that, because this O-line will get a quarterback killed if they're not bloody careful. We had three of our starters missing on Thursday night, and okay, yes, their pass rush is minus Jermaine Johnson and their couple of linebackers missing, but to allow 59 hits in a game is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Baby Hill.
Do you think it's a case of Drake May learning how to be a pro? Because he will learn that from Jacoby Brissett.
I think it's that.
Yeah.
I do think it's that. Aaron Rodgers said that he wished he feels better now than he did when he's at 25 because he knows how to look after his body better.
Yeah.
And so,
but then that comes from coaching, having the right staff around you. I mean, I'm not knocking Jacoby Brissett. I apologize, Jacoby, if you're listening right now, but I just don't see that level of quarterback, other than what you say, just being a pro. But he's going to be surrounded by 53 other people in that locker room. He's going to have a head coach. I mean, yes, it's a rookie head coach, but he's surrounded in a building full of people that have played at this high level.
Of one at the high level.
Yeah.
Of the range.
I don't think there's many of those left at the Patriots, are there?
Yeah.
But then you do think even with the Patriots kind of going for their motions that they're rebuilding, if you want to use that word. But you've still got the organization who have got staff that have been there for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Robert Kraft very rarely sacks people.
No, he very rarely lets them go. Even players, when they've done naughty things, he very rarely
lets
them go.
Yes.
But Aaron Rodgers looks like he hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah, I mean, his stats in that game were ridiculous. 27 for 36, 281 yards, 2 tutties, and no interceptions. He looked good on his first home game back in New Jersey.
The touchdown throw to Garrett Wilson. How did he get it in that window?
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Gonzalez flying like he's Superman, but doesn't get the job done. And Garrett Wilson gets in.
That was his first ever touchdown pass for first-round receiver.
Really?
How that is
Didn't know.
ridiculous. Right, enough of my agony. Baby Hope, you want to have a chat about the Eagles-Saints game, which I think is a bit of a ball fest.
I mainly want to have a chat about how badly I thought the Eagles were coached in this game.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
So it was 15-12. Twice, when they were 3-0 down, it was turned over on downs with a chip shot field goal.
Yeah.
If the game's 44-40, then yeah, you need touchdowns. But you were 3-0 down. At some point, you've got to
it does make sense.
understand the game situation and take the points. I love going with 4th down more as much as the next guy. But game situation, yeah, you could be uber aggressive, but not in a game where there's only been 3 points scored and it's going to be a low scoring game.
Mhm.
Just take the points. Also, I thought some of the play calling on offense was absolutely shocking from the Eagles. It was literally hand the ball to Saquon Barkley, hand the ball to Saquon Barkley,
Yep.
hand the ball to Saquon Barkley. Dallas Goedert, though, he had a very good game. Who Phil
you saw
decided to not play in fantasy in
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, when you text me, right, I was like, oh, I'll change it, but then like it kicked me out of the app, and I just was like, oh, I'll do it later when I'm back home, and then I never thought about it again. But you say about like handing off to Saquon Barkley. I mean, he had 17 carries for 147 yards, but then Jalen Hurts also. He threw 29 off or 29 completions off of 38 attempts, 211 yards with the one interception, no touchdowns. I mean, he threw more than double what Derek Carr threw.
but that's because Derek Carr literally did just hand it off to Alvin Kamara every play he could.
But then you say that Alvin Kamara had 26 carries for 87 yards. So, Olave, I mean, he had 6 receptions for 86 yards, 1 touchdown. I just thought this was a game that you could have skipped until the last 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. Like, it just wasn't. I was going to pick it originally just because of how low scoring the game was going to be, but just for me to have a chat about how dull as dishwater it was. And if anything, even though the Eagles came through just in the end, the Saints literally threw this away because so many times that the Saints shut them out and was stopping their offense from actually moving the ball, and then they just kind of like capitulated in the fourth, and it just. Yeah, like that probability when they put up on red zone, and they got like probability at one point, like the Saints were, I think it was like 59% win, and then they turned the ball over, and then the Eagles just went up there and won.
Yeah, so I want to talk about Saquon's stats. 17 carries, 147 yards. His touchdown run was about like 70 yards. So apart from that, 65 yards. Apart from that, they're not that great, really.
It's average 8.6. I mean,
yeah, but I'm saying take the 65-yard run away and one of the touchdowns.
But then, I mean, right, we take that away. Yes, he probably doesn't get then as many yards as Kamara, but like he still did it more in less attempts.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a good running back, and he looks at his best.
Saquon Barkley is a very, very good running back.
I mean, pound for pound, he's the second best when fit, second best running back in the NFL. Like, would we agree, gents? Yeah.
Who are you putting at number 1?
Oh, CMC. A fit CMC.
All right, 100%. I'd put you probably got number 2 and number 3 in this league. Okay, in this game here, and it shows. I mean,
I'm not sure Kamara's a 3.
Especially now, Devontae Smith. It looks like he's out with concussion with a horrible hit.
That was my god,
that was bad.
It was a nasty, nasty hit. But yeah, it was. It didn't really kick into life until Saquon's 65-yard touchdown run.
Yeah,
which was late in the fourth quarter, which was ridiculous. I don't get some of the play calling. I'm not a fan of Nick Sirianni. I don't like his play calling.
I'm gonna say this now and nail my colours to the post. Nick Sirianni will be gone by Black Monday.
Oh, along with another NFC East head coach.
I think three might be. I think three might be heading out the door this year.
Dable, maybe.
Dable's just like gone all in on Danny Dimes and it's not worked out, and he let Saquon leave.
Yeah, but if you watch the NFC, if you watch the preseason about that, he wanted him to stay. It was the head coach.
Yeah.
It was the GM goes, yeah, no one's going to pay him the money, and they did.
Yeah, but I think unless something drastic happens to the Giants, the GM and the head coach are both going.
Yeah, definitely. Mr. Perrins, over to Bo Nix welcoming himself to the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the stat. I've got them back up again this morning because I've watched the highlights and I was keeping an eye on it during like the red zone, and it's hard to really put down. I mean, all right, hear me out, Jen, before you criticize me, but like the stats are very even in the Denver and Tampa game. I mean, the 26-7 is quite deceptive because you would think it was more of a trounce. Now, in terms of a really, really good game plan, Denver's defense massively hindered Baker Mayfield. Like he went 25 to 33, 163 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, and they really put the pressure on him all game. They didn't really let them play. If anything, Tampa were getting some really good kind of like yards with like their passing plays. Not really much on like the rushing side of it. Saying that though, Irvin did have 9 carries for 70 yards, but I don't think Bo Nix, I should say, was that good. I think his stats are kind of like overinflated, and I don't want to overly put him down, but like he more or less had the exact same completion record as like Mayfield, 25 for 36. So 25 for 36 attempts, 216 yards. But I just don't think Tampa got to him, and which just kind of gave him a little bit more pocket presence, a little bit more, time to maybe read the defense out. But it was looking at the stats, other than the total yardage, it's a very even game. I don't know if you thought the same, baby.
The one difference I think is Bo Nix's 9 carries for 47 yards and obviously rushing in for a touchdown. So.
Yeah.
I think that's obviously I think he looked very good on the ground, and obviously Cortland Sutton I thought had a good game too, 68 yards. But yeah, I don't think it was an exceptional performance from Denver. I more think it was a poor performance from Tampa.
Yes.
I mean, the mistake by Baker Mayfield and that interception really put Denver within like 13, 14 yards of the end zone. Straight away.
I feel like there's a fumble too. Yeah, the K. Dotton fumble.
Yeah, and that's what pretty much cost them the game, because then it's hard when you're scored down, but when you're 2 scores down within 10 minutes, you're fighting all the way straight away. You're literally your backs up against the wall. It's really, really difficult to get going.
Although I would like to give out a shout out to Bucky Irving, because I thought he looked very good as a relatively unknown running back.
Yeah, 9 carries, 70 yards. It's good. I mean, the rush game on both of these weren't that good, considering like Denver had 136 yards, and we'll go back to Saquon. He had 147 yards on his own.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an issue that looks like both situations where they haven't got this elite running back. Take the pressure on the quarterbacks.
Lovely Lolly B has come in saying, only 3 of you tonight, boys. Yeah, unfortunately Shane's not on tonight.
Yeah, sorry, Lolly. If you missed it at the beginning, our Sheno is in Telford at the moment, just doing some recce work because he's watching TNS.
He's going to hate you for this. Right. Let's go over. I mean, our show is titled The Return of the Red Riffle. And I'm going to start off by going something else first. This is the first time that 2 teams have faced off against each other with 2 female presidents. So obviously you got the female president of Carolina and the female president of Las Vegas facing off each other. I think that's just massive for the sport as well. You know, they're always trying to push them on head coaches and all that, but especially the situation they had, say, in Washington, they had a couple of years ago, having more female head coaches in there or heads in their back really does help. Mr. Pete?
Just want to say about like just the Raiders organization again, just a little bit of history. But the Raiders have a long-standing history in the league of giving positions like that to people in their organization. It was the Raiders were the first team to hire a minority coach to be their head coach in the 1980s, Tom Flores, and he won 2 Super Bowls for them. And they were one of the first to hire a black head coach. And I just think this is a great way that Mark Davis is continuing on his dad's legacy by giving these positions to people that are hungry and wanting to prove themselves instead of via nepotism or connections. And I just and it's the same with like the Panthers as well. I applaud anyone that will take a chance on someone because you believe in them.
Think outside the box. Give these people a chance, But onto the game. So
just quickly, did you guys see Devontae Adams' face at halftime?
No.
Yes.
So when was the last time? Yeah, it'll be in New York. When was the last time Carolina Panthers had a 300-yard passing game?
Cam? Was Cam one?
Andy Dalton last season when Bryce Young went down with an ankle. And
now, I might be wrong, but have you not said in the past that Andy Dalton is a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Yeah. Off the back of yesterday, and I am a staunch Raiders defender, I think he looked better in that one game than I'd ever seen him in Cincinnati or Chicago.
He looked good. I mean, that throw to Phelan was top.
Yes.
Touchdown. That was literally, I'm going to rifle it through these 2 defenders, not going to get it. Throws like that, Bryce Young hasn't really got because he's not as tall as Andy Dalton. He's not as big as Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton can still rip it. He's been in the league 14 years. He can still rip it. But there's passes that Bryce Young can make that he's not making, which Andy Dalton made. That little touch pass to, I think it was Deontay Johnson, or it could have been Cuba Hubbard for one of their touchdowns.
Yeah. A stat I read was something like Andy Dalton had 2 passing touchdowns in 3 drives for the Panthers. Bryce Young had 2 passing touchdowns in 9 games for the Panthers.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's the case of a lot of quarterbacks. I'm going to talk about a couple when we get around to the news in a bit. Not news, the review. The teams, some quarterbacks don't fit certain teams. Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, to name 2. And I think it could be the case that with Bryce Young, he just doesn't fit Carolina.
I think Bryce Young is not a good quarterback.
I think there's that as well. I think he'd do well or better in a Mike McDaniel type offense where but he needs protection and he needs coaching because when it's on his toes. If you watch his throws, he's on his toes, so it's inconsistent, not flat-footed. I mean, you coach the sport and you obviously coach your quarterback. You tell him to get a good firm plant, don't you, when you throw?
Yeah, it's you make sure that your legs are balanced and you have the power off the back onto the front. And then there's the arm. Like it sounds really daft, but like the legs are more important than the arm. With the quarterback position because the legs is where you get the power, and just going back onto it, it's really hard with quarterbacks because when they're like number one, out the draft, or let's say like they're in the top 3 or top 5, when they're drafted, 9 times out of 10 they're going to a bad team. There's a reason why they're so high in the draft anyway. And if you're going to a team that drafted you number 1 overall, and I said this a couple of weeks ago as well, so I'm just repeating myself, they were one of the worst teams. Like when they drafted him, they were also one of the worst teams last year. they're also one of the worst teams again. They haven't really improved. Like, so it's, and don't forget, like, the whole coaching scheme's changed as well. And I just think maybe similar to what unfortunately happened, with Zach Wilson, where he had to go to, he's in Denver now. No, is he in Jacksonville?
No, I think it's Denver.
Who's Denver? He's
Yeah.
Max in Jacksonville, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Max in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be that Bryce Young has to go elsewhere. Like maybe Indianapolis, maybe Miami. I mean, Miami desperately need a quarterback. Like if Tua's not going to be around for some time, they need someone. I'm not saying Bryce Young is the answer, but I would be surprised if they don't move for somebody.
Yeah, I did read something that apparently the Panthers rejected 4 trade offers for Bryce Young in the week.
Which makes no, and I mean, there's one thing rejecting, and then there's another thing trying to get more. Like it's the whole thing with like, in our transfer terms, like Margay could have gone to Newcastle. Oh, Crystal Palace rejected it because they wanted more. It's. I don't think that's the case of them wanting to keep it. If an offer comes, and they have a chance to maybe cash in the off season on somebody else, or maybe bring in somebody else. I think they would let him go before the deadline.
But it's going to be interesting now with Andy Dalton. So the next 4 teams are Cincy, Bears, Atlanta, and Washington.
Which are all winnable. All of them
exactly.
are winnable.
They could end up being 5-2.
Yeah.
Going into their bye, which
but like, with Dalton though, could it be and we've seen it before in the NFL where these veteran quarterbacks, they come in for like a young gun, and they ball out for 2 weeks. I'm thinking about Fitzmagic in particular. They ball out, and they go, "Oh, maybe we'll give him a start," and then they just literally just suck the life out of the team and just tank it. I mean, I'm just thinking like, we saw Rivers do it when he went to Indianapolis. We saw Ryan do it. I've seen Cutler did it. Cutler did it in Chicago and then Miami. And I don't know.
He did it last year.
Absolutely.
Who did? Flacco?
Yeah.
Flacco. Yeah. I mean, and then where is Flacco this season?
Indy.
Yeah, he got cut by Cleveland because they didn't want him showing up to Deshaun Watson, basically.
Deshaun Watson's good enough to show Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
I don't think, but either way, I mean, I don't know whether or not this is just a flat. I mean, I'm really happy for Andy Dalton. Like, I watched that performance yesterday and he was phenomenal. But is this like a Fitzpatrick kind of moment? Because Fitz had this in nearly every single team he played for. We'd have that little purple patch where you go, "Oh, he's quality. Fitz is going to lead us to great things," and then he would just tank it out. I mean, I remember when he did it in Miami before they drafted Tua.
Yeah.
The thing I think that's quite important to remember is that this year in the draft, the quarterback class isn't that strong. I think the best quarterback is probably Ewers from Texas.
But is there anybody that could come up for free agency this year, like in the off season?
That's also what I'm thinking. I'm not sure there is now. Dax signed.
Yours.
No, Purdy's got another year anyway.
Yeah, Purdy can stick around for another year.
Oh, is it 3? Is it 4? I thought it was 3
years.
It's
a 4 year. No, he got drafted, so it's a 4-year deal.
Yeah, and they could tag him.
Yeah, of course. Okay, coming up. Oh, I've got NBA, not NFL.
And also, I can't genuinely see Brock Purdy leaving the 49ers. No. Like, they could probably just offer him like a lifetime supply of like Doritos and Pepsi, and he would probably just stay.
I think he might take a bit of a Brady deal, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, especially this. I mean, maybe his next contract, he then decides to break the bank and try and go all out. But I don't know, man. Brock seems like a guy that just. Brock strikes me. I'm not saying like he doesn't want the money, but like Brock's like a farmer. Like, I mean, we saw last season in the off season, even when he was on the bye week, he went back to his parents' farm and he was just doing stuff in on the land and on his tractors and doing the harvest. So I don't see Brock Purdy like pulling down the house and just going like, "I want my money." I'm like, it's just like pulling like a Dak Prescott holding the team hostage. I just say anyway. Anyway,
the one person I think, Shane did want to talk about the Texans Vikings game tonight. Sam Darnold's up for contract.
yes.
Looking incredibly good there.
Yeah, but are the Vikings going to offer him a contract, or do they genuinely want to go all in on JJ?
He's 27. Like Donald is only 27.
Yeah.
Like he is, is he like the same age or younger than Joe Burrows? Or, I mean, he's same age. So you've got him. So he tanked in for the Jets. Not surprising. He's not the first and won't be the last. I mean, they've had two good quarterbacks in 70 years, Namath and Rodgers. That's kind of it for the Jets.
Oh my God. Yes.
And then, then he sat in Carolina, but Carolina's like an absolute bomb site. And then he sat behind Brock Purdy, and he was never really going to start over him. And I think, since he's, I'll just say this now, the Vikings are my only hope for dethroning the Chiefs now in the NFL.
At the moment, you would say that, wouldn't you? Yeah. So, yeah. So, shall we delve into the Ravens a little bit? Being that our Welsh wizard, our resident Ravens fan, is not here today because he's in Telford, as Mr. Parents has said, doing some research. They tried hard to throw it away. 19 points they gave up in the second half. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Derek Henry looked good, 155 yards.
I was going to say that big running back looked pretty good, didn't he?
What? Where's number 8?
I said big running back.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Lamar.
Say that though. Lamar nearly ran for like 100 yards. I mean, he was just shy of a century. Like, and he got himself a tutty.
Yeah, I mean, you are going to have this dual threat now of, okay, it is a very much a run-first offense. It was always going to be the situation. But your quarterback's first job is to throw the freaking ball. He threw it 15 times. Most quarterbacks throw it at least 30 times a game.
Yeah,
they had more team carries than they did. In fact, he run the ball nearly as many times as he had passing attempts. Shane's going to hate this.
It's not sustainable, is it?
No, until you come up against a good rush defense, which, let's face it, Dallas aren't. They are a soft team at the moment, and I will get on Dallas properly. You're going to be stuffed, like they did in the playoffs last year. Kansas City are a good run defense. And what happened when they had to try and pass the ball? Lamar got found out.
Yeah.
Zay Flowers dropped it a yard from the end zone.
Yeah.
Exactly. But honestly, go on. Sorry. Go on.
No, and that's ultimately, I mean, when Lamar's legs go, and they will go because Father Time is undefeated. Yeah. I mean, he's really limited himself, and Lamar's a good athlete, and he can throw the ball. But we see what happened to Cam Newton. I mean, and I don't know whether or not he said it himself. I don't think he would openly say it on a public forum. But like, as soon as he lost his legs, Cam lost his confidence. He lost the ability to that killer edge because he couldn't do what could come natural to him. And Lamar is a natural runner. And you said he's not a natural passer. He can pass the ball, but it's not natural to him, instinctively or technique-wise. And I just think, he is a bad injury away from really altering his career.
Yeah, agreed. Completely agree. And if you're Jim Harbaugh, you've got to right, let's bring in a quarterback coach who's actually going to teach him to throw the bloody ball.
Yeah.
Because
can I just want to move on to Dallas quickly, but finish your point. I was going to say, I think this is Dak Prescott's best game of the season. I know they lost, but I mean, and his completion percentage wasn't great, but he still threw for nearly 400 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And Jake Ferguson, he is turning into a proper tight end star in this season.
Yeah, they missed him a lot last week.
Yeah, 6 receptions for 95 yards.
Yeah, I
Pretty
mean, the
good.
Titans have jumped out this season, haven't they? You know, got on in Dallas, not Dallas, in Philadelphia, Jake Ferguson, Sam Laporta,
Yeah,
Phil.
I saw Laporta. Do
And
we know how
they-
bad the injury to Laporta was? I know he got carted off.
I don't know. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen the news on it.
Me either.
I just want to say, maybe with the reason why we've seen such, heightened tight end play is possibly a lot of teams trying to replicate the Mahomes Kelsey kind of connection, but also with a lot of these quarterbacks now that are mobile in the pocket. Often, when you're on the run or you're kind of scrambling in the back pocket, you look for, if you need to get rid of the ball or make like a quick dump, you do look for the closest to you, which 9 times out of 10 is your tight end. So
Yeah.
looking at like Ferguson, doing so well is because Dak. I don't want to say he's a scrambler quarterback like Lamar is or Jalen Hurts is, but like he does move around in the pocket. He can evade, tackles coming in. So I could see.
You know, Dak reminds me of taller
Go on.
version, but he reminds me of Russell Wilson when he was at Seahawks.
Oh, yeah, before his legs went, because that's all he could do was run. Yeah. I see that. And I just think with like just the nature of the beast in terms of like how the passing game is going, I could see that being a reason for why a lot of these tight ends are getting really, really high quality numbers, because they are going to be the first reads of a scrambling quarterback.
I think it's funny if you look at the rushing differences. So Baltimore, 45 attempts, 274 yards. Dallas, 16 attempts, 51 yards.
Yeah, see, Dallas doesn't have a prime running back anymore. Now they go in a Pollard.
Yeah.
You made a mistake.
I mean, and Dak's passing was nearly double of Lamar's.
Yeah.
Like, he had 28 for 51 attempts, compared to Lamar's 12 for 15. So you could argue his rating was better. But in terms of like actual completed yards, Dak had 379, whilst Lamar only had 182. So yeah, I do agree with what you say, baby, and I don't ever want to say anything nice about the Cowboys, but Dak did have a good game.
I mean, Ollie, you say they made a mistake. Pollard coming back from his injury hasn't exactly set Tennessee alight, has he?
No, agreed. But he's better than probably what they've got there. I want to go about something else. A couple of things. CeeDee Lamb looks like he's got the weight of his world on his shoulders now. He's had that massive contract. He looks like he's struggling. 2 or 3 stupid put downs and drops and fumbles yesterday.
Oh, can we not? Let's not talk about drops.
And you'll get to talk about your drops in a minute.
7.
But Micah Parsons looks pissed off. I mean, well, he looks like he wants to go to the offense and go, "What the fuck are you doing? Sort your shit out." He won't be there. He'll probably hold out and go, "No, say what? I ain't signing. Trade me." I don't think Micah Parsons will be there past his contract.
Yeah.
Especially if McCarthy's still there.
I'm not sure they can afford to pay him after the Dak thing, honestly.
I saw something out on it, but it's ridiculous. He looked so angry yesterday. He looked like he wanted to punch someone. Really did. Gentlemen, we've prolonged your pain enough. Over to you guys.
Go on, you lead, baby, and I'll follow.
Okay. So, for 59 minutes and 56 seconds, the Niners were either tied or in the lead of the game.
Right.
For 4 seconds, the Niners were losing. But it was the last 4 seconds. I don't know what the hell happened to our secondary, but they could not defend a deep ball yesterday in the second half. It was literally every play was drop back, Stafford, bomb down the field, suddenly they're at our 5-yard line.
Yeah.
Every time. Purdy played well.
Purdy looked good. He was let down by a supporting cast. And I'm going to say something in a bit.
Jennings had a great game. I mean, I'm just getting his stats up now. 11 receptions, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan Mason, 19 carries, 77 yards, not too bad. I thought Isaac Rendo, the rookie, 5 carries, 19 yards. It's okay. I actually thought Purdy looked very good on the ground too, 10 carries for 41 yards. But apart from Jennings, the next highest is Ayuk, who had 5 receptions for 48 yards, but on 10 targets. I mean, that's 5 catches that Ayuk didn't make.
Dropped. Not even like didn't quite get there in time. I mean, the ones that I saw, he dropped them. Like they
Yes.
came into him and he dropped them.
I mean, there were 7 drops, but there were some bad ones from Ayuk. But the worst one has got to be that Ronnie Bell drop at the end. It would have won the game for us. It hit him in the numbers here, and he went like that. He's got the Enkil Howie disease.
What, butter hands?
No hands.
No, butter hands. He catches it straight for his hands.
I mean, Bell made 2 really bad drops, but I mean, it was on, and it was the game. He dropped the game. I mean, I saw some people blaming Moody, but I mean, it was a 55-yard attempt. That's like a 50-50 play at best.
Yeah.
Unless you're right.
Yeah. The defense couldn't get to Stafford. And bear in mind, the Rams have a very makeshift offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with that best offensive tackle out.
Yeah, I know Nick Sorensen's a first-time coordinator, but I am worried about our defense again. And also, can we just cut Ronnie Bell, please? And yet again, our third cornerback is a problem because Yeardom is not the answer. He got burned so often yesterday. But it was nice to see the fact that Isaac Yeardom.
I mean, with Hufanga, I mean he did get flipped over though, didn't he? Like he went for a tackle and he literally had a player do a front somersault over him into the end zone. Brock Purdy is the real deal. I mean, this is not me getting on the hype train. You know how me and Baby feel about it. I mean, he has proven on losing efforts to be a shining light in the 49ers offense. Brandon Ayuk, and this is again another thing that I've repeated on this show lots of times. When will the 49ers learn in the office that if you long things out and don't make a decision, it impacts the rest of the team? Debo, Bosa, Ayuk, what do they all have in common? John Lynch literally sat and did nothing for the majority of the offseason and then paid them just before the first game of the new season. And Debo came back overweight and unfit. Bosa didn't really get going at all that entire Super Bowl running season. And Brandon Ayuk in 3 games does not look anywhere near up to match fit. He does not.
It looks like he's forgotten how to catch.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
you name those 3, but before that, Fred Warner, George Kittle, they still weren't done until camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's other people in I done Ray Hargrave. Jesus Christ. What an absolute waste of money John Lynch spent on him. Okay? Complete waste of money. So we've got this really unbalanced team of legitimate number 1 superstars in their positions, let's be honest. We do on our heyday, but we've got these ridiculous weak areas of the secondary. Now that has been an issue. Us having a decent secondary has been a problem since the John Harbaugh era. Like we lost the Super Bowl because we didn't have a secondary. Under Kyle Shanahan, we have lost multiple games because we have not got a decent secondary. In fact, our best secondary was when we had Richard Sherman. He was pound for pound our best secondary the season that we had him fresh off his injury when he could still ball. But then
I just want to quickly talk about the Hargrave thing. There are plays in this game where he is standing there watching.
Yeah.
Watching. I know he got a sack, and great for him. He put effort in for one play, but he was stood there watching. At the end of the season, we need to get rid of him.
I'd
rather have Javon Kinlaw back.
Yeah. He is so lazy. Our whole defensive line has gone from being the best of the best of the best to Bosa, and that's it. That's been another failing of John Lynch and the defensive side of the ball, but not being able to shut Matthew Stafford down. I've said before about Matthew Stafford can't run. He's literally one hit away from drinking out of a straw for the rest of his life. Okay, and we can get to him.
The other defensive lineman that I actually thought looked quite good was actually Malik Collins.
I didn't see enough of him, to be fair, to actually make any comment on it. But
he got a sack and looked good.
Now the question is, where do San Francisco go from this? Because it sounds really daft, and I am more likely to jump on the negative side of things more than the optimistic prime of things, because I've just watched sport long enough. I know that when you're in a massive tailspin, it's very difficult in sports to pull yourself up. It really is. When the momentum is against you, that atmosphere, that toxic locker room can become overwhelmingly bad.
We've been involved in those kind of situations as well. I mean, I've been in a situation, I played for a team, and we were at one point, we were as good as, put into your terms, we were San Francisco. We were there, always there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Then we lost a couple of players. We lost our goalkeeper through injury, another one got sold, and literally the team tailspinned.
Yeah.
And the toxicity gets in there because people are blaming each other, not taking responsibility for their own actions. And it's like, well, hang on, you're not doing your job, so why should I do my job kind of situation?
Yeah.
And it spreads. It's like Japanese knotweed, it spreads.
Yeah.
So I think this comment here quickly needs some explanation. So Jack has said, would you take Spoon back, Ollie? And around my final year of uni, I watched a lot of NFL with Jack, and the 49ers had a cornerback, you'll probably remember him, Phil, Akello Witherspoon.
Yes, I remember Witherspoon.
And I really did not like Akello Witherspoon because he was really bad. But right now, Jack, would I take Akello Witherspoon back from the 49ers? I think I would.
I mean, at this point, I'd roll out Ronnie Lott, 60-year-old Ronnie Lott, to be fair, because at least if anything, he'd hit hard, and and he knows how to read a defense, and he wouldn't blow his coverage at every play. But going back onto the original question, the original statement, sorry, is where do San Francisco go from this? Because we play New England next week, so we can either go from being 2-2, 500. Or we can be 1-3. Now, I'm not casting aspersion, all right, and without saying, oh, we'll beat New England. Well, we should have beat LA as well, but we didn't. And this could turn really, really nasty, because I said in the off season, when there was a couple of reports that I mentioned on the pod as well, of our ownership not being overly happy with Kyle and John because of how much money they'd spent, because the 49ers have spent in free agency and contract extensions. They spend a lot of money keeping this team that nearly won the Super Bowl together without really losing too many pieces. And we're looking down the barrel of the gun again of, well, something has to change. Like, our defense is massively letting us down. Our Mr. Irrelevant is pound for pound our best offensive weapon. DeJuan Jennings, who we have paid pittance to keep, is outperforming our current superstar wide receiver. Deebo Samuel, I love Deebo, but he gets injured every season and is out for periods of time. I love George Kittle, but George Kittle will get injured and be missing out for periods of time.
He's getting old now, Kittle.
Yeah. It's like it's taking its wear on his body. So we've got all these players that we have kind of run into the ground. Like Kyle's almost like Eddie Howe, like comparing it to Newcastle, by the way, where he will run players into the ground and then just replace them. Like there's no like bringing them in, rotating the team. Like Eddie literally runs players down until they're off injured and he puts the next one in. And I feel Kyle Shanahan, if you're not in his little circle of, how does he see anything in Ronnie Bell but not Cowling? Like how?
Yeah.
And
So,
he was the one that we had on special teams forever, and he was just constantly injured. He was a wide receiver, Ollie.
Jalen Hurd.
Jalen Hurd. He kept Jalen Hurd around for years, and he only played maybe a handful of games. I say handful of games, less than 5.
I think he played 1.
Yeah, but for years he kept him.
And he was on the Niners team for 3 years.
Yeah.
I think for the 49ers season, the Patriots is a must-win.
Yeah.
Snap. I'm going to say one thing really quickly, then we'll go on to the news. I said jokingly that your season's now struggled purely the fact because CMC is down.
Yeah.
You've now lost CMC, you've now lost Debo, you've now lost Kittle. They were Brock Purdy's go-to gentleman week in and week out.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, last season, Ayuk was his go-to guy.
But Ayuk is out of the system. Like I say, out of the system. The entire offseason, Brock has played with all his wide receivers and tight ends, with the exception of Ayuk.
Yeah.
So Brock's changed his approach to passing, who his number one targets are. Like if you literally have a mate that you play with all the time, and then he's not there for 6 months, but you still continue playing, you change who your go-to guy is. Like you think David Beckham, stopped, trying because he didn't have Andy Cole on the end of like his passes. Yeah, exactly. So David Beckham was like, well, I don't know where Andy Cole's going to be. And then when Andy Cole's not there, do you think he just was like, well, I can't pass to anybody anymore because Andy Cole's not? No, he learned how to play with Teddy. He knew how to play with Dwight. He knew how to play with Ollie. He knew how to play with Ruud van Nistelrooy. He knew how to play with Stroll. Like, he didn't just rely on one person. And when that one person's not there, you find other people and you get used to other people. And I'm just really frustrated, like I was the previous couple of years with like the 49ers, because of they have allowed this to happen to the detriment of the team. It's not a diva who's just sat out. They allowed this to happen, and now they're having to reap it.
I do want to just quickly talk about Jack's comment, which is Shanahan picks his team like Southgate did his England squads.
Yes, 100%. That's a great analogy as well. He's very head on. He only really has one game plan. If that one game plan does not go ahead, I mean, we've lost championship games after being in the lead in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I think
we were literally about to beat the Chiefs twice before throwing it away.
I think what Jack's referring to is you talking about how Shanahan has favourites that get on the field.
Oh, I'm agreeing with that as well. But like other comparisons is he only has one game plan. If that one game plan doesn't go ahead, he has no answer.
One more thing. Ayuk is different to Debo, Kittle, and CMC. Debo, Kittle, and CMC are very much 10, 5, 10, 15 out run as well.
Yeah.
And
Ayuk stretches. Yeah, he stretches that defense in secondary. Yeah.
So if you've got these short guys, it's harder to go long because that's right. Ayuk's there. We'll just accept 2 men on him, and it's difficult. Right.
Yeah.
It's also different because those who can catch and Ayuk can't.
He can catch off helmets.
Do you know what I did, baby? Just going off topic. I've had a bit of a clean out in my. I bought some like storage bags, that I can put in the loft for like just jerseys and football stuff. And I was literally just going through my wardrobe, going, all right, which jersey am I going to wear this season? I've kept like my Kittle ones, my CMC ones, my Jerry Rice, my Steve Young, all the ones that say Powers on the back. And I picked out like my Brandon Ayuk one, and because I'm still salty from yesterday, I was like, nope, this is going into the loft and will never be looked at again. Like that's the level of saltiness I'm feeling at the moment.
Sam Laporta's high ankle sprain day to day.
Okay.
It's Raps just tweeted it. Right. other games that were happened yesterday is we're starting Cleveland, where they lost 21-15 to the New York Giants. Malik Neighbors is that guy already. 3 games, he's already one of the best wide receivers in the league. Malik Willis set revenge on Tennessee Titans with a 30-14 win for Green Bay.
Just out of interest, did you guys see what he said about playing for Tennessee?
He was just grateful he was drafted and shit like that. I don't believe that bullshit.
He was just like, well, I didn't play, but the check still cashed.
Not even Seth Rollins falling himself into the stadium could help Chicago Bears. Oh my God, do they need all the help they can as they lost 21-16 to the Indianapolis Colts. Sam Darnold will get paid this season as he led the Vikings to a 34-7 win over the Texans. Stephon Diggs is going to want out already. Pittsburgh Steelers have found their quarterback, I think, in Justin Fields, as he led them to a 20-10 over Jim Harbaugh's previously undefeated LA Chargers. Miami Dolphins, no Tua, no hope, as they lost to Seattle 24-3. Dan Cowboy pretty much stuck 2 fingers up to all the Detroit fans who decided to abuse his house because he lost last week, as he beat the Cardinals 20-13, and KC won last night over the Atlanta Falcons 22-17. I'm going to talk more about that Dan Campbell situation on Thursday.
Just quickly, can we talk about how holding and pass interference doesn't apply to the Chiefs?
Yes. It becomes
PI call missed.
It literally becomes more insufferable as this every game week goes, because it's almost like the Chiefs, and this is not being salted because of the 49ers. It just adds more fuel to the fire that the NFL is scripted. Like when they would accuse the Patriots of scripting, and now the Chiefs are scripted, and it's just not fun. And I'm sorry, but there's a reason for why the Chiefs are now the most hated team in the league, because of just how double standards the whole league is towards them, from coverage to certain calls. I just hate it. I just hate it so much.
I just want to agree with what Jack says here, which is Cousins looked good for bits last night, and for parts he did.
He's got his footing back, which is better. Yeah. He's more square on. I was going to say now, is it because we're more focused on the Chiefs now? It goes on in every game. Holding, pass interference gets missed every game. Is it because it's the Chiefs? It gets highlighted more. I do generally think it's that situation.
I think that's part of it. But I do think that it happens more to the Chiefs. But I do think that it is highlighted more because it's the Chiefs.
I do think there is going to be this is conspiracy theory time. I think there was a genuine NFL conspiracy that they want the Chiefs, Taylor Swift's, Kansas City Chiefs to be 3-0, in terms of three-peat. I guarantee you that's exactly what Goodell's thinking, because it brings in more eyes on the product, more Swifties will buy merch. 100% convinced, because they want that three-peat shot of Taylor Swift on the podium with Kelsey and Mahomes lifting up the Super Bowl. I guarantee you that's what they want.
Yeah, but speaking of Taylor Swift, isn't it the 28th of September when they're meant to break up?
Can't wait. Be the happiest day of my life.
Right. Let's quickly go over tonight's game. It's a doubleheader of Monday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills host Jacksonville at 12:30, and then Cincinnati hosts Washington at 1:15. What are we thinking, gentlemen?
I don't like the doubleheaders at the same time. I think if you're going to do a doubleheader, go back to back.
Or have East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
So one's at 8:15 Eastern time, the other was 8:15 Western time. So it's still you've got a 2-hour difference still. Yeah, I completely get it. This is a must-win now for Jacksonville and Cincinnati.
Yes.
Because no teams that go 0-3 get to the playoffs. It's been done 4 times, I think it is, since '98.
I think there's a better chance that the Bengals win than there is of Jacksonville winning.
Yeah.
The Bills look on a mission,
Yeah.
and they are my AFC favorites to destroy the Chiefs. Whilst the Bengals just look all out of sorts. I mean, they've still got the thing that's looming over the head of like Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow's not even going to look remotely the same as what he did pre-injury, where he was like Joe Cool. I don't think his Eminem haircut has helped him at all either. Whilst I actually think BJ Robinson's having a great year. Like, I think he's having a.
T. Higgins is back today for the Bengals. That's big, I think.
That's a massive. Don't know how fit how good he's going to be, how many plays he is, but that is a massive for them. As if wins, Buffalo need this to keep New York at arm's length. So I do think now Miami are out. Miami are out of the AFC East. They're not going to win it now. You know, and the longer Tua is out for, the less likely they are going to get anywhere near them. So it is New York and Buffalo need to keep New York at arm's rest.
Yeah.
I'm going for Bills Cincy double. I want Jacksonville to win.
I'll second that. Bills Cincy double.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go Bills Washington.
Bills Washington.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull. I mean, I've got so many wrong this weekend. Like, look at the predictions. But I'm gonna go Washington, man. I'm thinking those commies are gonna do all right.
If they gets Daniel, not Daniel Powers, then that'll be okay. Right. As always, we will be back. Hopefully, there's a foursome on Thursday night. Although New Saints are playing in Europe, so Shane might be in the grandstands cheering and shouting.
Can't wait.
But you'll be able to download this episode tomorrow at 8:30 on Spotify or wherever else you get your your Spotify, your podcast from. I've got to sort out a connection because Baldy or Big Fella, I think it's actually Baldy, said it didn't work on one of them, so I need to check that out. But we'll be back 8:30 on your screens on Thursday night for week 4, episode 243. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, good night and stay safe.